people are not everyone is going to understand you. So you have to be the person to understand them. I was suspended twice. In my mind, there's really no one who can tell me, no, this isn't, you're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
So many people have been sold the idea that they should be good people. But then have you ever really asked yourself, do you really want to be a good person? I've always been really good in science until I got to university and realized, Allah,
it is not the same.
When I get into a relationship with a man, of course, or not,
you have to specify.
I'd like you to know that you are worthy of love, and that it's not your fault that the things that happened when you were young happened. It has nothing to do with you. You can create your own destiny. And Joy is also my name.
Yeah. Hello there, mental health champions. How are you doing? I hope this new year has come with new and good beginnings. For those who had set New Year's resolutions, I hope you factored in mental health as one of them. For those who are still operating with the previous year's resolutions, please don't give in to the pressure of time and outcome, because every human being has a timeline their own, and sometimes things unfold at their own pace, and bila kujua, we fall into that desperation of, why is my work not giving the results that I require? Sometimes you might feel that the path I'm on is the right path, but I'm not getting the results that I need. The only thing you need to do is consistency. You keep at it, and with time, itajipea tu. And if you feel deep down, you're not on the path that you need to be on, it's a wake-up call. You need to maybe sit down with yourself, re-strategize on the changes maybe you need to make so that you can see the results that you want to see. For today, we are here with a very beautiful lady. What can I say? She's a beauty, and I think the best thing about her is her journey inspires me. She's one of those people, every time I have a conversation with, I always leave that place refreshed, and my cup is never empty with her. Without so much to say, or I can describe her in all the good words that I have, lakini let me allow her introduce herself and atuambie who she is, and we learn kama kawaida. This is the space where we learn from each other, and this is a chance to learn. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Maroy. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah.
Hey, compliments. Anyway, so my name is Maria.
Yeah.
Many people know me as Migisi, but Maria Kwamboka Migisi is my name.
Yeah.
So if you meet me out there, either one of them will do. I'm currently a plan in action or something. I'm a student who's not a student.
Yeah.
An employee who hasn't been in a job for a long time. So I'm a work in progress.
Okay.
But I really appreciate that about myself. And I am hoping that I'll be able to get to what I want to be. So briefly about myself, I describe myself as an extra-extrovert who loves working with people.
Yeah.
And I would really love to be in a space or a position where I interact with different people every day.
Yeah.
And if there's something I want to be known for, is that particular aspect, to always bring out the best in people.
Yes. Thank you for that introduction, and more of it, thank you for gracing us with your presence, because we don't take it for granted. And this is Vibe with Your Honor. It is a mental health space where we get to talk about day-to-day things that we go through, and sometimes the things we go through, they affect us in one or another, but people just assume them or they don't talk about them. So this is a safe space. It is a safe space not just for us, but for even people outside there. So feel free. We don't judge. We are good people. We love when people come out and share their stories. So I hope utatuambia how did you end up to being an extrovert? That's what you said.
Yes, an extra extrovert.
Yes, extrovert. Me hata sijui unamaanisha nini, but maybe you could tell us kidogo to what that means and how did you come to that conclusion that mimi am an extrovert. Is it one of these many identities that we are having nowadays? I hear mtu anasema me am a sapiosexual, me am I identify as a tree. Anyway, yeah, so maybe you could tell us what is an extrovert.
Okay. So when I was looking at self-awareness and personality traits and stuff like that, I went online and did they call it a personality something, like you have questions that you're asked. So in terms of introversion and extroversion, there's a spectrum. And I scored really high on the extroversion part because I genuinely enjoy being with people, and I feel very uncomfortable when I'm alone. And I only do so when there's things that I really need to work on. But then I'm most comfortable when I'm with people. That is what I mean by extrovert. I really enjoy being with people. I enjoy meeting people. I have the most fun in social situations when I meet new people, and I feel most bored when I don't get to interact with people, even the ones that I've come in with. So how I came to know about the extrovert, it's self-awareness wasn't something that I grew up with. So it's been very recent. I think like 2 years ago, that is when I did my first, I keep forgetting the name, personality. It's like an exam. So the first time I did the questionnaire was 2 years ago. And I was really impressed by how revelatory the questionnaire was, because now I came to learn why I'm usually bored when I'm at home, or I don't feel very comfortable when I'm at home for long stretches of time. And I came to know that it's also okay to be an extrovert. I know people are really hyping introverts right now.
True.
But then that's why we are different. We complement each other. Because like my best friend is an introvert, and we really like balance out each other and keep each other in check and stuff like that. So self-awareness is what made me know about me being an extrovert.
That's beautiful. I think I should also get to that questionnaire manager. But I think I would say mostly, especially this generation, people focus sana on I'm an introvert, I don't like being with people and all. So I hope watu wanajua that kuna hizo zingine pia, and it is okay to be either of them. So that is so beautiful. Self-awareness is one of the biggest thing we preach here, because unless you know yourself, you'll never know or understand the other person. So again, thank you for that insight. And maybe if you could take us back kidogo, you give us like a short summary of your childhood, how you climbed those ages, how you formed your self-awareness, how you got to understand that this is me, Maria, and these are my personality traits, and these are what are making me be who I am.
Okay, so generally it was quite easy from the ages of like very young, now 0 to 5, because you usually don't know anything, but they say that things affect you. From 5 to around 10 or 11, I was very energetic. I'm the child who always was outside playing with other kids. I'm the kind of kid who engaged in different sports, even though I was terrible at most of them.
Yeah.
But I was there for the fun of it, and I guess the very first time I had to now ask myself, who am I, was now during puberty, which for me came a bit late because it was around 15.
Yeah.
That is when I asked myself, who am I? Because it felt like everything I knew about myself was wrong or wasn't what I thought.
Yeah.
Because people keep asking me why I don't introduce myself as Joy, and yet it's the name that is in my birth certificate. But that's because when I was in Form 2, I had a really, really difficult time in school, in high school, because being extroverted isn't really accepted in Kenyan high schools, most especially boarding schools. So that was termed as being rowdy and being difficult. But at that time, I didn't know that I was an extrovert. That's why I had this, always hyper, always, the, what do they say, center of the party or something. I'm always that kind of person who is loud. And now I appreciate it, but at that time I felt like I was being asked to be someone else. And it never goes well, and you're being forced to act like somebody you are not. I remember during that period I had promised myself so many times that I'm going to be quiet, I'm not going to talk to people, I'm going to be humble and small. And it never worked out. It never went past 2 weeks. But then now I know that being an extrovert can sometimes be a bit annoying to other people who do not vibe with that kind of personality. But first knowing that I'm an extrovert made me realize that there are other things that I can do, like maybe getting into a room and just assessing the situation first and things like that. So I really appreciate that moment in my life, although it was really difficult at that point where I was always in getting into punishments. I was suspended twice before I transferred from the school I was in, which was very stressful for my mom and myself. At that time I felt like I was really hopeless and stuff like that. But looking back, I'm really, really grateful for that, because I am lucky I knew early on that I'm an extrovert, and that's why I was behaving the way I was behaving, or that's why I was perceived as being rowdy.
Yeah.
So yes, I guess in my childhood I had a pretty okay childhood. Yes, but now I don't feel as uncomfortable and I'm being called Joy. So yes, Joy is also my name.
Yeah. So you've mentioned something. You said in high school it used to feel like being an extrovert is something to be shameful about, or something that it requires you to shrink yourself and all. So that was in school. How about at home? Your parents, were they embracive of your extrovert self? Were they supportive, of who you are? They also contributed to shrink yourself? You're too noisy, you're too loud. Did they ever make you feel in one or another like you should shrink yourself or talk less or uskwe yap sana?
No, actually no. A big part of my life has been with my mom.
Yeah.
And she's always been a champion for giving you space to grow as a person, while also nurturing you as a parent that she is, to have boundaries of like, at this particular time you can't do this until you're able to know enough to make those kinds of decisions. So she was always supportive of me being who I am. And anytime I like had a problem at school and came back home and told her this and that, she was like, in this life, you really, people are not everyone is going to understand you, so you have to be the person to understand them and be like, it's okay, they don't understand you, but you understand where they're coming from.
True.
It's not always easy to be the bigger person or whatever that is. But yes, she has never ever at any point made me shrink or become smaller. In the case of my dad, he wasn't really around to even have an opinion of my personality, so there's also that. Yeah.
Well, so like you've said, your mom was your biggest cheerleader. Go and do that and all. Maybe if we could now dive into today's topic, whereby our dark sides or human dark sides are never talked about that much or appreciated, as they're just character traits like any other bright or light side as we talk about it. So maybe when you hear of human dark side, what comes in your head?
Honestly, it's about the negative emotions that usually are not appreciated, like anger, envy, jealousy, shame. Also, it's about the desires that not accepted by society. Like how we don't really talk about. Right now is when the topic of sexuality and how people identify is coming out and stuff like that. But like in my household, we never used to talk about that. Sex wasn't a topic that was freely talked about in my home. And you find that there are aspects of sexuality that are considered dark. And so when I think of human dark side, that is one of the things that I think of. So the sexuality, negative emotions, and also instinctive behaviors like violence. Yes.
That's enlightening. So you've brought up an aspect of the society not embracing some of this dark sides of ours. So maybe if I could want to know, when did you come into contact with the dark side, or which maybe experiences really later those dark sides of yours one-on-one, and you're like, yo Maria, you have ABCD inside of you?
I think it was like intrusive thoughts. So the term intrusive thoughts I came by just recently, not kitambo sana, but I've always had them. Like remember how I talked about how anger isn't uploaded? Violence has always been a very sensitive topic for me, because in my early years my dad was violent, and that was the reason why my parents separated. But then there were instances I found myself when I was really angry, I went into my head and I thought of smashing things, hitting people that had made me angry at that point. And it was very confusing how I hate violence, but I could feel such strong
urge
of hitting someone or just harming them in some way. And I'm still trying to figure out But then now I know that there is a reason why we have such thoughts going on in our minds. And the more I resist my dark side, the worse it gets, or the more uncontrollable it gets. So, yeah.
Well, I once had somebody saying that the more you silence those voices in your head, or those dark thoughts that you assume are dark, the louder they become and the more vigorous they come outside. So maybe when you would get in that state of maybe reacting out of whatever is inside, did it ever occur to you that somebody called you out on it or mentioned it? Do you know you do ABCD in such scenarios or situations, or it was just a self-reflective journey whereby wewe mwenyewe ndio realize I have ABCD inside of me?
No, that one was very self-reflective, because even in anger, I usually just walk away.
Yeah.
But then the things that go on in my mind are almost scary. And I feel like just doing it in my mind, like in my mind I could go through the whole process, and then at the end I'd realize I'd have to be the one to clean up the mess. Or like, you know, if I had thrown glasses, I'd have to be the one to like sweep up the stuff.
True.
And then there would be consequences. If maybe I'd had somebody, I'd have to go to you know, maybe I'd get reported and stuff like that, and I'm not going to prison. So I feel like for me, going through the whole process of just venting in my mind, because usually I do it alone in a space where I know I'm not going to get bothered or something like that, has really helped me. And I think that is how I embrace my dark side, because in my mind there's really no one who can tell me, no, this isn't you're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
And I guess I never had that voice of, hey, you should stop at this particular point. For me at that time, I just needed to vent, and the only way I could do it was in my mind.
So you know, when we were growing up, we used to be told embrace the good qualities. As a child, should be kind, polite, honest, don't steal, you know, all the positive qualities. And then these negative qualities were never like talked about that much, because we, as we were growing up, we were never told that it is okay to experience anger. Probably it's a trigger from something that is underlying. It is not okay to experience jealousy. You shouldn't feel, you know, jealous at all. You should not have maybe sexual desires. This one is a shetani. So maybe now that you're an adult and you know that human beings have both the dark side and the light side, how does somebody get to a balance, you know, or how do you accept both your light side and your dark side?
I'd say that comes with personal it's still about self-awareness, because the one thing that I learned in self-awareness is that we all have an ideal self that we'd like to get to. So many people have been sold the idea that they should be good people. But then have you ever really asked yourself, do you really want to be a good person? And then have you then asked yourself, what does being a good person mean to you personally? These are the kind of questions that you really have to ask yourself, and they're difficult. So I think that is where we start from. And for me, the point of being a good person, or how I would like to remember us, is somebody who feels the whole spectrum of human emotion. And it takes a lot of courage to just stay there and feel those feelings. If there's one thing that has really helped me, is I read somewhere that, actually I think you're the one who who posted that beat, where it was like a conveyor belt, and there was like a gate or something over the conveyor belt, and then there were emotions going through the gate, and somebody said, and it was like written down there that emotions are like vehicles or something. They come and go, and I realized that every emotion that I've ever felt at that particular moment, when it feels so strong that it can consume me, it actually fades, and you get clarity afterwards, or you get to find out why you are feeling that particular emotion. So if there's something that I do to now get a balance of both, is feel the feelings. If I'm feeling envious, I just stay there and feel the envy until it passes. Then I'll ask myself the important questions. Why do I think that I felt envy? Because the problem with just assuming them, I've found is that it gets to a pile. Like I'm just throwing it into some kind of pile, where now it becomes this big issue that really blows up very ugly, rather than just dealing with that particular emotion. Because now I think when they come mixed up as envy, anger, jealousy, these negative emotions that you're not shame, that you're not addressing, then you can't get to a particular point, rather than when you've felt just a single emotion, then ask yourself questions about it afterwards. So I'd say, what is your ideal self? Then feel those emotions. That has really helped me in getting that balance.
True. Now, as we feel those emotions and all, there is the aspect of society. Do you think the society that somebody is brought up in has a hand in shaping who they become, or the emotions they feel comfortable feeling, and those they feel, I shouldn't be feeling this kind of things? Do you think the society has a hand in that?
Definitely, because as I was thinking about what we were going to talk about in this interview, there is a probability that in our traditional African society we embraced the dark side as much as the light side, until now the Europeans came with the bit of religion, which I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it might have made us forget who we are as a people and the traditions we used to have. I believe that they had a purpose. Right now there are very few people who practice the traditional African way, and it's really unfortunate, because I think there are so many things that we could learn from them, and I get there are very many things that were also harmful to us as a society. But then how about these good things that were
brought?
Where did they go? We don't have them anymore. And yes, I do believe that as a society we do have a hand in how we react to these different kinds of things. And they say the society starts at home, in the family. So if in your family you're not comfortable discussing things that are taboo or are thought to be taboo in the larger society, then you're probably going to be guilty for feeling such things when you're older.
Now, at any point, have you ever gotten to a place where unasema this society is not talking about this dark sides as they should be? Did you ever come to a point mahali I feel like I'm choking on this thoughts or on these words, because this society is not allowing me to talk about these things?
Yeah, definitely. That for me has been envy and jealousy. I even had to go and research, and I found out that there's a difference between envy and jealousy. So jealousy is feeling threatened of what you have being taken away. And then there's like, for example, you have a boyfriend and you feel like if you go in particular spaces that there will be they'll get more options and you lose your boyfriend. And then there's envy, where now you see a friend having good things and you're really happy for them, but you also want them for yourself. And I feel like very many people don't talk about it, how it's very normal to feel those things. And in the spaces that I have been with, even with my friends, telling them that I feel envious on this particular instance usually ends up with them not telling me no stuff. And it's really unfortunate, because I didn't tell you so that you can hide stuff. I told you so that you know that this is just something I'm feeling. Like all the other times when I tell you I'm angry or I'm sad or I'm lonely. So I think that is one of the things that society don't talk about.
Yeah.
Then also there's the really controversial, sex is a big topic that I don't think I can even debunk right now. But yeah, that's also the other thing that society doesn't want to talk about at all. Then there's this issue that has come up about people not wanting to have children, and I think society feels threatened because without children, then where are we going as humanity?
True.
But the other people who want to have children, I think will be okay.
Yeah.
They say the other day that we have gotten to 8 billion. We'll be fine. I think it will take like many more years before humanity dies.
True. So, still on the issue of society, as we grow, we nowadays nasikia tunaita, as we evolve, as we become spiritually aware, or we become woke, we start questioning societal setups. We start questioning our beliefs or the things that we were brought into, because I normally believe as long as you are born in a certain family, you didn't have a choice to choose which religion you'll fall into, which language, which maybe social status you'll be born in. So as you become aware of yourself and then you start questioning these things, did you ever feel like you are disappointing societal expectations?
Definitely. And then there's also the aspect of how do you now get the truth? How do you get your own truth? Because so very many times people have told me, you have to go into yourself and ask yourself, what do you want for yourself? But then I have grown with these people. This is something that has been put into my mind, because now I even ask myself, do I want children because I want children? Or do I want children because I was told that I must have children? And then questions like that, you wonder, will you ever get an answer? And will that answer be from a point of truly wanting something, or is it a rebellion? But I feel like that's the reason why we have black sheep. There will always be black sheep everywhere, in every family. Those are the people who are purposely brought into your timeline to question the things that have been going, that no longer work for you. And change is inevitable. Things have been coming up and going, and it's never really easy. Because I'm thinking, when the movement of feminism started, it must have been really difficult for those women to just stand up and say that we want equal opportunities as men. And now we are here having we are able to have a career as women, something that we deem as normal. But then at some point, women are not allowed to go into jobs and stuff like that, or even speak. But then we do have that right now, and it's because of those women who felt like there's something really wrong about what we're doing. And there's a probability that there were also women in that time who were stopping these other women from speaking out because they had grown up in this society that believed that men are superior and they're the ones who should be doing these things. The women who are fighting against it believed that there's really something wrong, and they didn't stop until the movement was strong enough to make some changes. So I believe that these things of disappointment is always going to be part of. You're not always going to make everyone happy. And I think for such cases, in terms of society, that now becomes very personal. It becomes personal in that you'll disappoint your family. You're not really thinking about those people out there who, it's usually the people who are really, really close to you that you feel like, if I speak up in this certain aspect, the people who are around me are going to feel disappointed. But at some point, you just have to carry your cross and move on, because I feel like if something has been put inside you to make it different, it's not going to stop until you deal with it.
Yeah. Now, from the same thing, you've said that most times disappointing is not about those other people outside there, it's your family. Have you ever made a decision, you as Maria Joy Migisi, made a decision that you felt this is good for me, but it is a disappointment to either my father or my mother or my guardians? Have you ever like stood up ukasema, I'm deciding to do ABCD even if they don't agree with me?
Yes, that will be the issue of school right now. I did actually get admitted into university in 2021. That was around October. Did a whole year of pure chemistry, which from the initial stages, I knew I don't want to do this particular course. But then from the advice I got at home was just get into that first, then you'll be able to transfer into what you want to do. And at that time I was really convinced that I wanted to become a teacher. But then looking back, I have never ever wanted to become a teacher, ever. So the first disappointment was that I didn't want to do the course that my mom thought was best for me. But like I said again, she has always been my champion, and even though she wasn't happy about what I wanted to do, she still gave me room to, okay, so now what would you like to do as you personally? But at that point I had already wasted a whole year. That's money, that's time, that's so many other different resources. And I found that disappointing yourself is much, much worse than disappointing other people, because I felt really ashamed, because I'm not a wasteful person. It's not something that I am okay with. So I took a year out to think about what I want to do. And even at this point, I still feel the pressure of going into school when I feel like personally I'm not ready, and the disappointment is still going on. But then I remember how I felt when I disappointed myself, and I would rather just take time and wait until I know what I really want to do.
You were enrolled to do pure chemistry. That means you were really in high school, you were the all science kind of girl.
I've always been really good in science until I got to university and realized, Allah,
it is not the same.
We were playing in high school.
Yeah. So you've talked about the aspect of your mom cheered you on, like now that you are dropping this chemistry, what is it that you want to do? What was your dad's reaction?
He's really usually very cavalier about things. He's like, oh, okay.
He was
So now what's the plan?
Oh, and now You mentioned something, before I forget. You said he was not really there to either structure your character or add on to it. Now, most times when we hear that a child grew up with an absent dad or an absent mom, we always have this umbrella to say, oh, she has issues, she has daddy issues. Would you say you, just because he wasn't there, you are in that category?
I'm definitely in that category.
What makes you say you're in that category?
So I actually thought I was okay until the point when I was 19. I got really triggered by this particular man I was interested in, and he really reminded me of my father. That's when I realized, hiya, you really are still trying to save your dad even as a grown-up woman. And that's I started looking into what could this mean, because I was really, really triggered. And that's when I realized that when I get into a relationship with a man, of course, or not,
well, you have to specify. You have to specify.
Yes, that's when I feel I don't know, just so many things. And I realized that, like I said, in your early years, so many things happen, but they don't seem to affect you. Now that is when I realized, yeah, so I wasn't really okay with not being with my dad. Because I remember when I was 3 or 4, we used to be really close. We used to sit together every time he was at home. And then at some point that just wasn't the case. And I think it hurt. But at that time I didn't realize that it hurt. So now I am feeling the feelings of that young baby. And it's a lot of work. It's really a lot of work. So I don't think it's for everyone. The people I know who had an absent father and they don't have daddy issues, but for me I do. I do.
Now, you know, they say in every person, in every adult person, there is that young girl or the young boy who needs maybe the care that you never got when you were young, or when your caregiver left and all. Do you talk to that girl? Do you like try to work on the emotions that that little girl was supposed to be feeling, but was deprived of them since whoever was feeding those emotions left? Do you like connect to that girl? And if you do, how do you do it?
Honestly, I don't like it. Because there are very many instances when I have felt an insecurity that I am so sure this isn't something that came from, you know, my adult years. It's definitely from my younger ages.
Yeah.
But it's really uncomfortable to deal with something that you're not there anymore. I honestly, so for me, that's something that I'm usually very uncomfortable with. I stay at home, think about it. I don't get an answer. I don't even feel like I have been satisfied by thinking about it for that long. So it's something that I haven't really learned to do. But I'm still working on it.
True.
Yes.
Yeah. There is this thing they called inner child work. They say you have to embrace her and bring her out to play once in a while, just to, you know, compare good memories. Because I think there are people who don't remember happy moments while they were kids. You know, they don't remember what it used to feel like when you were young, to be happy. You just remember the frustrating memories of that time. So You've said you were once triggered. You met a man and then attributes za your dad ndo zinaanza kukuja outside and you said you were like wanting to save it. What did you mean by that?
I think it's something that I've always felt because I blamed myself for not being able to help. My dad is an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And this particular man was also an alcoholic. How I got triggered is that I really felt so empathetic because I realized that this is an actual human being. This is now and he could have been my father. And up to that point I thought of him as a parent, and there's that superhuman aspect of a child thinking of a parent in that perspective. And at that point, that is when I realized you really just need some help, and I wanted to be the one to help in that way. But then I don't think it's possible.
You can't save him.
Yeah. So, but at that time, I honestly believed that. So I got triggered in that way that I felt like there was something that I could have done. But honestly, there really isn't.
There is this famous say that goes around. They say that if you had an absent dad, or if you have daddy issues, you have the tendency of looking for your father in other men. Would you agree to that?
I keep finding myself in the same cycle of getting attracted to emotionally unavailable men. And I hate being a cliche.
I know.
But yes. However, the more I work on myself, the earlier I realize this is not healthy.
True.
Get out of it. So I'm able to move out of it much more quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am going for now. Recently it has been now people who are not even available at all. Like married people. What business do I have to married people? And I feel so ashamed when I get into such a situation. So I have to get home and batter myself and just get out of your head. You need to move out of there very quickly. So yeah.
So I'm more interested on mostly the emotions that traverse your head throughout that experience. Like, here we advocate for mental health. Like, we care more about what are you doing for your coping mechanisms. How are you strategizing on getting out of your bondages, because most times people they know we have an issue. They know I am here. These are the things that I'm struggling with, but they don't know how to get out of that. So maybe for the sake of helping somebody outside there, somebody who is maybe going through the same, somebody who can relate to this, maybe you could tell us what are your coping strategies when you realize this is those triggers. What do you do?
For me, self-awareness has been the very, very, very my number one thing. So in such instances, when I get triggered, I now go into myself, where now I have to be in a space where I'm alone and think, which I don't like, but has to be done, and ask myself questions. So I start from the point of why was I triggered? Then maybe it's how was I triggered? What did I feel when I was triggered? Where do what do these emotions remind me of? Which particular situation? And then when I go back to those experiences, I realize there were details that I didn't really look at, and they're very, very vital in terms of, in this particular moment, you didn't react how a normal human being reacted. Like how in the morning we just have tea as usual, while last night pots were being thrown everywhere. Probably even the pot you were using to cook was used was used the previous night. And then like how normal everything just went. That's not normal. So there are such aspects. I now ask myself, how would I feel now that I'm a grown up in that exact situation? And stuff like that. Also journaling, because when I write down the particular emotion I felt at that particular moment, if I get triggered again in another situation, I'll know, maybe I wrote about this last time, maybe let me go and check and see what was I feeling at that time. Is it different with from what I'm feeling right now? Because if it's different, it means the same particular trigger has different situations. So how do I deal with that, first of all? So for me, it's just that being aware that these things happen, looking at them, and not judging, just being like, okay, so this is how you feel. I'm my own therapist, man.
Very important, because I believe every human being has an inbuilt support system, and it's just for you to tune into that and tap into it. So I want you to look at that camera and talk to your 5-year-old self, something that you'd wish her to know now that you're a grown-up woman and she's still inside of you. Talk to her, tell her something.
So Maria, I'd like you to know that you are worthy of love, and that it's not your fault that the things that happened when you were young happened. It has nothing to do with you. And you should give yourself a chance to know that you are loved or are worthy of love. And all this will pass. All these difficult times will one day be a memory that will be far, far away, and you'll be able to become your own person, and you won't always be closed into the prison that is your home. You're going to be able to fly, and whatever happened with your parents doesn't have to be your story. You don't have to accept you don't have to accept cruelty and pain just because you feel like you're used to it. You can create your own destiny, and you're going to be okay.
True.
Yeah,
she's going to be okay. So here I have 2 gifts. They are mental health bookmarks. So this one is for little Maria. Let me see what it says. It says, don't be too hard on yourself. Nobody has anything figured out. Be kind to yourself. This is a message for little Maria. And then this is for grown-up Maria. And the message says, it always gets darkest before dawn. Let nature be a reminder for you to hold on to hope. So yes, so this bookmarks, if you read, every time you look at it, let it be a reminder. So for our listeners, it's been amazing having you here, and I hope you keep on keeping on that journey. may you never feel inaitwangwaje defined by the things that you've gone through, because those were your experiences, they're not you. And keep journaling, like you've said. Every time you have emotions that you can't put a name to it, just write how you feel. By the time you're done, you know the feeling. And for our listeners, thank you so much for staying tuned up to now. This is the space where your story is appreciated, and this is the space where you get to feel you're not alone, because you're never alone. And if you're struggling with any mental health issues, tafadhali, don't die alone. Tafadhali, reach out for help. I always say you can always dial that toll-free number that is offered by Red Cross. It's 1199. They always have somebody on the other line ready to help you. And if you cannot get the courage to talk on phone with them, you can leave a comment, and yes, we are going to help you figure it out by either referring you to a mental health helper, or just somebody who can work with you. Now that you've talked to little Maria and Maria older Kwapa, how about you talk to our people? Probably there is somebody uko nje mwenye is in the same shoes that you are in, or is experience some of those things. Maybe tell them one or two things, just so that wajue they are not alone in this fight.
Okay, so I really appreciate the chance of being here.
Yeah.
I asked for help when I was very young in high school, and I'll always be very grateful for getting therapy when I was really young. So take note of that number. Don't be afraid of asking for help, because there will always be somebody out there who is willing to help you. And even if you don't find one person, I'm sure at some point there will always be someone. So also subscribe to our channel, Vibe with Your Own.
True.
Yes, we have some great stuff. Clearly.
Yeah, true.
Clearly.
True.
Yes, and there is always hope. There is always light at the end of the tunnel.
True.
And like I've been told, I've been gifted. It always gets darkest before dawn.
True.
Thank you.
Yeah, karibu sana. So what I'd say is thank you for trusting us with your story, because I believe one step of healing or starting your healing journey is owning your story and accepting it as it is. So thank you for the courage. Thank you for the confidence, because that is your story, and you're the best storyteller of your own story. Otherwise, Mary, it's been a pleasure having you here, and I hope maybe next time we will hear, I was doing ABCD and I discovered that it is okay to feel angry, because those are my emotions and they are validated. And I hope anyone listening, you get to understand that those emotions that you keep suppressing, you suppress them, siku moja zitalipuka. So it is best if you can embrace them and dissolve them. So if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for your faithfulness. You guys, I can't do this bila nyinyi. And if you're a new subscriber, you just landed on this video, tafadhali, this is the space. Hit that subscription button, like, share, and if you have a story, you feel like people need to hear my story, feel free to reach out to us. This is Vibe with Your Own. We vibe as we document life together, and I think all I can say is we're here because people like you exist. And yes, that should be a wrap it up for us, and tutazidi kupatana tena. So bye bye. I hope to see you guys very, very soon again with another story that it will be a chance for you to learn and to internalize yourself. Thank you so much.